what do you think the potential is right now for a multi-ethnic, anti-racist, class-based movement?
I think it depends where in the world you are. I think it would be really arrogant of us to say to black Americans, for example, given the history of white supremacist, racist terrorism in America, lynchings, etc., from the white working class, given the history of the banning from unions, etc., for us to go and tell black Americans, you must accept our analysis. No, they must not. They've got to figure out for themselves as black Americans, based on their particular history, what to do next. But the situation for black and brown British people is quite different. We were moved into hoods where white people already lived. And even though there was certainly a violent racist reaction, there's nothing that can be compared to lynching in America. And it would be disrespectful to put it in that same category. And in a way now, Broadwater Farm or Stonebridge or Toxteth, these are multi-ethnic working class neighborhoods. Whether or not that's going to translate into a multi-ethnic political struggle, I don't know, because I think a lot of, Marx warns against this himself, and I'm not even sure I would consider myself, a Marxist. That's how I would define myself. A lot of people might be surprised by that. But Marx himself warned against it, this sort of idealization of the working class, this idea that the passions that middle class analysts or people as intelligent as Marx himself see and have the time to sit down and write about that are felt from within that class itself. I don't think, when I was growing up, most of my brethren were not talking about seizing the means of production. That's the truth. They were talking about how can I pay my rent and keep my gas on, and how can I create a situation where my kids don't have to choose between, gas and electric every winter, and maybe I have some half decent clothes. Those were the things that were concerning poor people. So I also am conscious of those of us who have become politicized have to be very careful that we don't impose our wishes onto people that are growing up the way we might have grown up. Now our lives have become a little bit better.
We all agree tonight, all of the speakers have agreed that America has a very serious problem. Not only does America have a very serious problem, but our people have a very serious problem. America's problem is us. We're her problem. The only reason she has a problem is she doesn't want us here. And every time you look at yourself, be you black, brown, red, or yellow, a so-called Negro, you represent a person who poses such a serious problem for America because you're not one. Once you face this as a fact, then you can start plotting a course that will make you appear intelligent instead of unintelligent. What you and I need to do is learn to forget our differences. When we come together, we don't come together as Baptists or Methodists. You don't catch hell because you're a Baptist, and you don't catch hell because you're a Methodist. You don't catch hell because you're a Methodist or a Baptist. You don't catch hell because you're a Democrat or a Republican. You don't catch hell because you're a Mason or an Elk. And you sure don't catch hell because you're an American, because if you was an American, you wouldn't catch no hell. You catch hell because you're a black man. You catch hell, all of us catch hell for the same reason. So we are all black people, so-called Negroes, second-class citizens, ex-slaves. You are nothing but an ex-slave. You don't like to be told that. But what else are you? You are ex-slave. You didn't come here on the Mayflower. You came here in a slave ship, in chains, like a horse or a cow or a chicken. And you were brought here by the people who came here on the Mayflower. You were brought here by the so-called pilgrims or founding fathers. They were the ones who brought you here. We have a common enemy. We have this in common. We have a common oppressor, a common exploiter, and a common discriminator. But once we all realize that we have this common enemy, then we unite on the basis of what we have in common. And what we have foremost in common is that enemy, the white man. He's an enemy to all of us. I know some of you all think that some of them aren't enemies. Time will tell. In Bandung, back in, I think, 1954, was the first unity meeting in centuries of black people. And once you study what happened at the Bandung Conference and the results of the Bandung Conference, it actually serves as a model for the same procedure you and I can use to get our problem solved. At Bandung, all the nations came together. They were dark nations from Africa and Asia. Some of them were Buddhists. Some of them were Muslim. Some of them were Christian. Some of them were Confucianists. Some were atheists. Despite their religious differences, they came together. Some were communists. Some were socialists. Some were capitalists. Despite their economic and political differences, they came together. All of them were black, brown, red, or yellow. The number one thing that was not allowed to attend the Bandung Conference was the white man. He couldn't come. Once they excluded the white man, they found that they could get together. Once they kept him out, everybody else fell right in and fell in line. This is the thing that you and I have to understand. And these people who came together didn't have nuclear weapons. They didn't have jet planes. They didn't have all of the heavy armaments that the white man has. But they had unity. They were able to submerge their little petty differences and agree on one thing.